national champion is clad in big orange. The pitch. Swing into this. That's the ball game. The national champion is clad in big orange.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title.
The SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
The 1-0.
In the air, right center field. Bronx on the move. Won't get there. Tennessee walks it off.
It's a mismatch. Deep three.
Come on now.
And don't connect. Robbie Draghi this time. Indeed. And two-hand jam. Hooker. Down the middle. Got it on the fly. It's high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, college football at its absolute best.
And even if it doesn't feel like it, this is still college athletics at its absolute best. Welcome into another episode of the Vol Fanatic Show. I'm your man, Skylar, my co-host, Michael. How are we doing today? And by the way, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you guys tuning in and watching.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope y'all had a great Christmas. Looking forward to a really good New Year. Already got Justin Williams chiming in. GBO, he says. Man, we're doing pretty good this week. Obviously disappointed about the way that football ended. See, Tennessee is making me feel like I'm watching the Titans. We just keep losing players. You know, we're going to talk all about that in segment 2 as we'll get to the rundown here in just a second. But, Skylar, how are you doing, man? Staying healthy up there? I know the flu and a lot of other sickness is going around right now.
Yeah, man, we're healthy. Enjoyed Christmas with some family. Missed some Christmas with other families. It's part of it, man. It's super hard living a little bit of ways from some family. But, man, we're surviving. It's not been too cold yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Second week of January, I think it's going to be pretty brutal. So we're kind of gearing up, getting ready for that. But in the meantime, man, watching the basketball teams just continue to dominate. And unfortunately, we're now watching on the couch the rest of the playoffs. But I'm still intrigued by some of these matchups, man. I can't wait to break it down with you.
Yep, I hear you, man. So before we give our rundown for today's show, would you like to give us our presenting show sponsor?
Presenting sponsor is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he started his own agency where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today. Give him a call right here in Oak Ridge at 865-272-3387. Again, guys, Chris is that agent that not only is going to find you the best coverage for the best price, but also when things go south and you do have to file that claim, he's going to be right there on your doorstep to help you through every step of the way. Thank you, Chris, for yet again sponsoring our show. And Michael, man, what's the rundown? Give me the rundown of what we're talking about today.
So we're going to start off talking about Tennessee basketball. We're going to talk about some men's basketball, talk about some women's basketball, just give a little bit of a rundown of the rosters, kind of what they have done to this point as they get ready to start SEC play this weekend. Segment 2, we're going to swap back over to some football, give some transfer portal updates, some guys that are leaving the program, some guys that are coming in, and guys potentially maybe coming in as well. Just giving a rundown on that. And in segment 3, it is the undisputed pick segment, as we have got a full slate of games to pick from this week, from SEC bowl games to college football playoff games. Like Skylar said, unfortunately, we're having to sit at home and watch as Tennessee fans now, but still a lot of good games going on this weekend. And upset pick of the week will be making a return this week, as there are some big spreads to pick from, and we're going to pick a couple of them. So Really excited about that. But before we get into all this, I'm going to give you our segment 1 sponsor, and that is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured, we specialized in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. You can contact Jeff Mull at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So we'll start with some men's basketball, as last game that they played was last week, I believe, against MTSU. The number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers.
That's right.
One of only 4 teams left in the country that are still undefeated. And by the way, Skylar, 3 of those 4 teams are all SEC teams. Yeah. As you've got Tennessee, Florida, and Oklahoma. And the SEC as a whole, I think the worst team in the conference is South Carolina at 9-3 or 10-3 now, something like that. I mean, the SEC has dominated men's basketball to this point.
And one team that we're not even talking about yet, and they've only got 1 loss on the season, but probably arguably the best resume so far is Auburn. Auburn's looking pretty daggum good, beat some very quality teams, and arguably is one of the top teams in the country. But until we lose, I would like to keep that number 1 spot next to our name. But yeah, just a lot of top tier talent in the SEC. And but let's talk about the boys, man. We're talking about, what Rick Barnes is going to be able to do after losing DK, right? And how are we going to be able to rebuild around that? And, a lot of people talk about, okay, well, who are you going to turn to when there's 2 seconds left on the clock and you got to have somebody jack up a 3 or just shoot that final shot? Who do you trust? And I think we've gotten several answers on that. And starting with Chaz Lanier, who has basically been a plug and play. I hate to say it like that because I don't feel like you can just easily replace Dalton Connect, but Chaz Lanier has came in strong, as you see here, averaging 19.2 points per game. And another player that can kind of score from anywhere, right? And he's been just that. I think a great piece added to this Rick Barnes offense, but also playing pretty solid on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a staple of a Rick Barnes team is that defense. And every one of these guys has stepped up and filled that role. You mentioned Chaz Lanier. To this point, he's actually got better statistics than Dalton Connect did to this point last year, averaging, I believe, a half point more than he is, shooting about 10 percentage points better from 3 than Dalton Connect did last year. Connect did get a few more rebounds, but Connect was a bigger guard than Lanier is. Lanier is a little bit smaller, plays a lot more on the outside, but he still gets in there with the best of them. But I think the guy that needed to step up the most this year and to this point has, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is Jordan Gainey, man. Arguably,
took over the game.
Is the front runner. Oh, against Illinois, absolutely took over the game, but arguably is the front runner for SEC 6th man of the year right now. I mean, dude is coming off the bench and is putting up valuable minutes for this Vols team. Maybe not the leading scorer every night, but just his presence on the court, on the offensive and the defensive end, is one that Tennessee desperately needed, and he has stepped up in a big way to this point this year.
Right on. We got a comment in from Backflip Spaghetti. Spaghetti is what I'm having for dinner tonight. Hey. Howdy, fellas. NIL portal and the portal, transfer portal, making me take my vitamins again. Excited for the basketball, though, both men and women. Looking forward to the Lady Vols versus the Lady Hens, South Carolina. Yeah. That's going to be a big matchup. I think Lady Vols also play LSU coming up soon, and that's also going to be a big matchup, too. But, yeah, right now, talking about how Rick Barnes has been able to flip this roster yet again, and he's making it work. I mean, you bring up Jordan Gainey stepping up, one of those guys that's been here for a couple seasons now, really starting to fill in his role. You got Zakai Ziegler trying. I feel like he's shooting his way into becoming a more reliable scorer. Now, obviously, he's always going to get those assists. I mean, the dude's almost, you see it right there, averaging over 8 assists per game in the college ranks is insane. But, Igor Milicic Jr. coming in, and he's another guy, right, that I just feel like can score from anywhere.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of a slump right now, especially from three. But
Sure.
just his presence on the court is another one that's, he's 6'9", but plays like he's 6'3". I mean, he plays like a guard.
I mean, he's struggling from three, but he's still averaging dang near 50%. I mean, right at 49.5% from field goal range. I mean, or field goal percentage. But I mean, overall, I mean, I just like having the guys that, no matter where they're at on the floor or on the court, they have a chance putting in points. And I feel like with Chaz, Igor, several other guys, Akpara, I mean, coming on strong.
Oh, dude, we hadn't even talked about Akpara yet. He is look, that is the big man that I wanted Jonas Adu and Tobe Awaka to beat. Now, Tobe Awaka could have been that guy coming on this year, but decided to hit the portal. And I mean, props to him. Dude is having a monster year out of Arizona. I mean, wish him nothing but the best. He left because he thought Adu was staying, and obviously we all know what happened with the Adu deal. But Akpara is the type of guy that I wanted to see Adu become, that physical guy that was just all over the place down low, getting block shots, getting rebounds. His offensive game still needs to come around a little bit, but he's got multiple years of eligibility left. I think that will come, but every little bit that you get from him helps.
I just want you to know you don't make it obvious at all that you prefer talking about basketball more than any other sport on the show. You don't make it obvious at all. You light up when we start.
Dude, basketball is my sport, man. I absolutely love.
I think the listeners can tell. It is crazy how much you come alive in basketball season.
Yeah, I love football, man. Absolutely love it. But basketball's got a special place in my heart, dude.
No, right on, right on. Let's talk about some of the negatives, though.
Yep.
Cameron Carr hits the portal basically out of nowhere. What is your feel on that? I mean, everybody's already came out and kind of said, hey, he just left. Like, there was no talking about it or anything like that. He's just kind of gone. And now, I mean, we're down to basically like 8 players. I mean, we have a bench that's great, but I mean, it's only so much. You've got injuries from JP Estrella and whatnot. So now you're really kind of forced to only play, what you got. I just didn't know what your thoughts are going into SEC and how tough that stretch is going to be with such a limited roster at this point.
I mean, I think that having 8 solid guys. Hey, I sure am, Justin. I've been ready for basketball, but
that's right.
Obviously, I wanted football to win a national title, but hey, I love some basketball. But I agree with Backflip Spaghetti here. That bench even with 8 guys, that's still a deep bench. I mean, obviously, the way Rick Barnes plays, he likes that 9-man rotation, maybe even going towards a 10-man rotation, but if you've got 8 solid guys, which I think Tennessee does right now, that's fine, even going into SEC play. You can make adjustments where you need to, and I think if there is any coach in the nation that can make the adjustment of having a guy like Cameron Carr leave the way that he did, it's going to be Rick Barnes. But I'm actually going to disagree with Backflip Spaghetti here. I was a huge Cameron Carr fan, and I was shocked whenever I saw that he entered the portal and left the team the way that he did. And I think the coaching staff and the players were too. I mean, the comments that I have seen, it's just like, we didn't – it was almost like Adu in a way, as far as, talking with him, everything seemed good, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's just gone.
To be honest with you, it doesn't even make sense either. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense. Like, you already got a team that's dealing with some adversity. He was dealing with some injuries himself. It's not like playing time was a problem. Dude was playing. Yeah. Like, I don't understand the motive behind it, why he did it the way he did it. I hope other coaches kind of look at that and say, I don't know if I could have that. Like, you just up and quitting right in the middle of the season. And I'm calling it as it is. That's pretty much what he did. I mean, he just got up and quit on his team. That's what I've been hearing from a lot of people. But overall, I mean, if you're Rick Barnes, you got to just shrug your shoulders and say, hey, like, you got what you got. This is why we went in the portal and got guys like Chaz Lanier and Igor Milicic. But, and Felix Akpara, there's several other folks. But, I want to talk about one kid who's really came on, and the alley oops, I swear he looks for him, but Cade Phillips. This dude he's electric. He's not going to be, on the box score, flashy and whatnot, but he plays with some of the most emotion out of anybody on this team. What are your thoughts on Cade Phillips?
I absolutely love Cade Phillips. I was really looking forward to, which I was so glad that Rick Barnes went out and got Okpara out of the portal. But when I saw Adu and Owaka hit the portal, I said, okay, great. That means it's Estrella and Phillips time, man. I really wanted to see them get a little bit more playing time than they did last year, but it just didn't work out based on who was in front of them. But I love Cade Phillips. He's still a little bit green around the edges, but he's coming on in a big way. And when Estrella comes back next year and you've got that three-headed monster at post to go along with whatever guards you have next year, that's the type of team that Rick Barnes wants to have, is those physical guys that are just explosive down at the post. I love some Cade Phillips. And we hadn't even talked about my favorite guy. My favorite guy on this team. I meant to wear his jersey tonight and just forgot, but Jemai Meshack, dude.
Defensive player of the year, 100%.
Yeah, he has just got a motor like no other. Could have left, could have gone and been a star somewhere, but he loves this program, stuck around. You mentioned it. He's arguably the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, maybe in the running for National Defensive Player of the Year.
He's averaging 2.5 steals per game right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's just unbelievable. And then not to mention, his three-point shot has really developed this year. Which a lot of players struggle when they're off balance, but if he's set, dude, he's money from the three-point line. And even Rick Barnes said he was the most consistent three-point shooter in the summer and the fall this year when it came to the three-point shot. So love some Jemai Meshack. Love this team. I think the only other guy that we hadn't really brought up much, Darlington Stone DeBar, has some personal issues towards the beginning of the season. But he's really starting to come along, and he's going to play a big role, especially now that Cam Carr has left the team.
Yeah. I think you see the potential in this team. You kind of see what we've got. I'm going here based on the schedule. Obviously, they started 12-0, which we've already said one of three teams started undefeated. Florida, Oklahoma have done the same thing. But that's what you got when you got the SEC right now. The worst team in the SEC record-wise currently is South Carolina at 9-3. Every other team in the SEC is 10-2 or better. It's going to be a tough time for Rick Barnes, but they start things off. They do have a New Year's Eve game against Norfolk State, but then they start things off with number 23 ranked Arkansas on the 4th of January. And it's going to be, from there, we're talking Arkansas, Florida, Texas, Georgia to start it out. It's going to be a fun January, and I hope this team's locked in. I think they will be locked in because they know the narrative. Yeah. They don't have necessarily the best track record as far as opponents and whatnot. There's a word I'm looking for this. Strength of schedule. There we go. Yeah. They don't have the best, but they do have quite a, good resume right now. It's not the best, but it's good. But they're going to be put to the test in January, and then they get a chance to prove it.
Yeah, and let's talk about, I got the key wins down there in the bottom right-hand corner. There's only one ranked win on there, but you look at the teams that they have played and where they've played them. At Louisville, you went up there and just dominated from start to finish. Louisville didn't score a point until I believe the 13-minute mark of the first half, something like that. So you go up there, just dominate Louisville. You completely embarrass Virginia and Baylor both in the Baja Mar Classic down in the Bahamas. You play Syracuse at home in the SEC ACC Challenge and dominate them. Debuted the dark mode uniforms, by the way, which were sweet. Miami, you go up to New York and you beat them. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but ended up winning comfortably in that game. And then go on the road to Illinois and win on a last-second layup by Jordan Gainey in a game where you saw a lot of adversity in that game. So you're going to look and see, only one ranked win, not impressive. But when you do some digging here, that's an impressive start to the season right there. The games that you have won and how you have won those games.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this team kind of strikes me as their defense. I feel like it's going to be able to keep them in almost every game, kind of a lot like the football team. But I am afraid with how much we rely on some of our shooters that if they ever have a cold night, it could look ugly for us. I just hope that we understand that, hey, that's basketball. we will run into a night or two of those games, and we're going to look at ourselves and think, like, what are we doing? Are we overrated or anything? No, not at all. It's just sometimes you're just not feeling it that night, and we just got to be behind our boys and more than likely when those games were to happen coming up in SEC play. But man, what is your not necessarily prediction, but like what's a goal I guess you have going into this SEC stretch? I mean, obviously you want to be in the conversation of champion, right? But what is a realistic expectation given this new schedule? What should we expect from the team?
I mean, I think you should easily expect top 4 in the SEC. I mean, just kind of looking down this schedule here, make sure you win your home games. I mean, we saw it in football. You've got to win your home games, and you've got a favorable home schedule this year. You get Arkansas at home, Georgia at home, Mississippi State at home, Kentucky, Florida, Vandy, Alabama, and South Carolina all at home. And then still a couple of road games. You do have some difficult road games. You do go on the road to Florida. That's going to be a real difficult game. On the road to Texas. You've also got at Vanderbilt. At Auburn is going to be a really tough game. At Oklahoma, you go to Kentucky as well. At A&M, at LSU, and at Ole Miss. Also left out at home against Alabama this year. But if you can win your home games and take a couple of your road games, you're going to be sitting pretty going into the final week of the SEC schedule, looking at least top 4. And Rick Barnes knows how to play in the SEC, knows how to go on the road in the SEC. And these are some very experienced players on this roster that know what it takes to go win on the road as well. So I think that's a reasonable expectation, is at least top 4. It would be insane with the way the SEC is this year to say, hey, let's go back to back, man. But that's a realistic possibility, going back to back SEC champs.
Yeah, I think you kind of get a little bit of a favor. I hate saying that. You know how that third team, I think it's the third team that you play in basketball twice in a season, it rotates. And This year you get Florida twice. Florida looking like a really good team.
Yep.
You get Kentucky twice, also looking like a solid team. And then Vanderbilt twice. Maybe it's not a favor at all. I need to see what Florida looks like and get some good competition. But, the way I was looking at it is, hey, you're not having to play Alabama twice. You're not having to play Kentucky twice. You're always going to play Kentucky and Vanderbilt twice. Like, it is what it is. But I think given the schedule, with me looking at it right now, our toughest stretch, in my opinion, is February 8th through February 25th. Basically the whole month of February, when you go on the road to Oklahoma, on the road to Kentucky. You get the home game versus Vanderbilt, but then you're on the road at A&M and on the road at LSU again. That's 4 out of the 5-game stretch you're on the road. I think that is the toughest stretch for this team. And I hope we can get to that stretch with maybe 1 or 2 SEC losses and just get by through that stretch with maybe 1 or 2. Because I think at the end of the day, you could still be in contention for first place with 4 or 5 SEC losses on the year. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's definitely a tough stretch just because of how many road games you have there. I mean, 4 out of 5 games there are road games.
Yeah.
I'm actually, based on right now, going to go a couple weeks before the end as the toughest stretch. Even though you get 3 out of 4 games at home, you're playing against number 19, Mississippi State. You go on the road to number 2, Auburn. Then you get number 10, Kentucky at home, and number 6, Florida at home. That's when you're really going to find out what you're made of in that stretch right there. And then I think that will either springboard you through the rest of the SEC schedule, or it could make you take a step back the further you go into that schedule.
Yeah, that is. I'm just going to bring it on the screen so folks can kind of see what we're talking about here. This is pretty intense right here. 1 second, sorry, got to wait on it. There we go. This is pretty intense stuff here. So obviously, here's all the wins, looking great. And then what you're talking about here is this stretch right here, the January 21st, where you start at Mississippi State or home against Mississippi State. And then it's just number 19, number 2, number 10, number 6. Oh, great. You get to play Missouri before you play number 12 and number 10. it is welcome to the SEC. You're playing some of the best. And, I say all that to say you could probably have 8-9 SEC losses this year. And I don't want that by any means, but you could still be a dang good Elite Eight program with that many SEC losses this season. So don't want Vol fans coming out with pitchforks if we've lost that many games. Now, obviously, we're going to be frustrated, but you just got to understand the depth of this league right now, and it's pretty insane.
Oh, I think we're going to end up seeing a magnified football season from this year. You're just going to have teams that are just beating up on each other, and you're going to look at these teams and be like, well, Alabama's got 3 losses. What happened this year? You ran into a gauntlet in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, and that we're going to see that just magnified during the basketball season this year. I don't see how you have a single team come out with less than 5 losses in conference. I mean, last year, Tennessee won the conference. I think they were 19-6 overall in conference, or 14-6, something like that. I think they had 6 conference losses and still won the conference. You're going to have another year like that this year because of how good this conference is.
Dang right. Well, how about we flip this thing over to the ladies?
Yep, we'll flip it right over to the ladies, and it's been an
Undefeated
exciting,
lady.
Undefeated Lady Vols, top 15 Lady Vols got another dominant victory again today against Winthrop. They haven't had the strength of schedule like we have seen in years past, but just domination, man, and just an exciting brand of basketball that we have seen so far from Kim Caldwell. And I was listening to the Eric Ainge show the other day, and doing kind of one of their year-end type things where they bring up the topic of what receipts do you want to keep and what receipts do you want to throw away. Brian immediately said, throw away the receipt on Kim Caldwell. We don't need it anymore. She's our coach.
And
I agree with him.
And she's doing exactly what she said she was going to do. I mean, I've watched not all of these games, but I've watched several of these games. Guys, they're putting up 100 points in over half the games that we play, or right at half the games that we played in. In 12 total games, they put up 100 or more points in 6 of them. And I think there's only 2 games where we failed to eclipse 80. That was against some pretty good competition where we scored 78 and 79 respectfully and won those games. But this team's fast. This team is up and down the court. I remember watching where they went like 3 minutes without subbing, and like those girls looked like they were about to die. and I bring that up to say, Kim Caldwell was kind of brought up like, hey, do you think that you're going to lose some recruits based on the amount of minutes that they're not being able to play? And she responded with, well, how about you ask those girls if they could play any more minutes than what they are, because they can't. I mean, they're not that they're begging to come out, but the way this team is running up and down the court, scoring as fast as possible, playing defense, press defense all the time, it's very exhausting, right? But that's what you want to do, and that's why you got to build that depth on your lineup, which is what Kim Caldwell has done. Not there where she wants to be yet, but definitely has flipped this program into being a winning program where we're going into SEC play undefeated. I mean, it's pretty crazy what this team has done. And Backflip Spaghetti comes in and actually says, already broke some records, dropping threes. There was a game earlier this year where we scored 30 threes on 62 attempts. That's crazy work. I mean, that's basically 50% from the field, and you broke the NCAA, I think in like college basketball record, shooting 33s in a
just the basketball record in general. I think it was an NBA record too.
I was gonna say it might be a basketball record. Like, I mean, they scored 90 points on threes alone. I mean, that is crazy, man. But I like what she's been able to do, coming in here, saying what she's gonna do, and then you're seeing it immediately. That was my big point at the beginning. Sorry.
Yeah, and then to your point about the playing time, I mean, coming into this type of offense and defense, you're going to get playing time. Now, you might not get 30 minutes a game, but you mentioned it. Who's going to want to play, or who's going to be able to play 30 minutes in that type of a pace?
Travis Hunter himself couldn't do it.
No, absolutely not. Which, by the way, what happened, Colorado? But that's a separate thing. But no, right now, the highest average minutes per game is 24 minutes by Samara Spencer. You've got 10 girls on the team that are averaging over 10 minutes a game. I mean, that's insane when you really look into the numbers there. I mean, I love this style of offense because they play 2 to 3, sometimes 4 minutes at a time. But you see, they are going full speed, 100% offense, defense, all that. If you give your all when you're out there on the court and then you get you a breather, get back out there and give it your all again, that's all I can ask for. That's all that Kim Caldwell's going to ask for. If you can do that, this team is exciting, man.
That's right. And what I love about this more than anything is you've got 5 ladies that are averaging more than 10 points a game.
Oh, yeah.
Jewel Spear, 10.4. Z Spearman, 11.2. Ruby Whitehorn, 12.5. You got Samara Spencer at 12.6. And then Talasia Cooper, who has, dominated games at times, averaging 19.2 points a game, shooting 53% from the field. I'm telling you what, the high field goal percentage, I think, tells me more than anything. You're playing that fast and you're being able to make your shots. You've got, of those ladies, 53% field goal range for Cooper, 48.9. We'll just call it 49% for Spencer, 49% for Whitehorn, 55% for Spearman. And, Jewel Spear a little bit lower at 33. But overall, in fact, Jewel Spear's got the lowest of the team at 33. Everybody else is above that. So, it's you're going up and down. You're playing good defense. Not great, but good defense. But you're scoring when you have the opportunity to score. I think that tells me all I need to know about this offense.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that does concern me about this team is just the amount of threes that they put up. Now,
sure,
it's a double-edged sword there because the more threes that you put up, the more chance you have of making more threes. But that is a very low percentage shot when you're considering you can get a lot more layups out of this type of offense and defense, which you're still getting a ton of those. You're still getting a lot of turnovers. I believe
but a lot of that's on fast break too. You got to remember that.
Yes.
Do you think maybe that's because, again, we're still in first year under Kim Caldwell? Maybe she just doesn't have the size to play big man ball inside or big woman ball inside yet. So maybe that's why we're pushing more of the shooting game, or what are your thoughts there?
No, that's the style that she wants to play. There's a reason why she went after some size in the portal, but it was like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", maybe. She wants those speedsters out there, and she found some very athletic, bigger girls. They're going to be undersized against teams in the SEC this year, but that's the style that she wants to play. But you still look, I think they're number 1 in the country in offensive rebounds. That's because they play so fast and they all just crash the board so hard that they're getting those offensive rebounds, kicking them back out and firing up more threes.
That's right.
So I think that's the style that she wants to play with it. But we are going to see some games this year where they go just ice cold from the 3-point line, and that's going to come back to hurt them. But I do like the pressure that they play with, the turnovers that they force, the layups that they get off of those. That will help keep them in games. I believe it was the MTSU game earlier this year. They just shot horrifically from the field. But the turnovers that they forced and the layups that they got off of it kept them in the game and eventually led them to win that game.
That's right. Well, I love this team. I love seeing you need a lot of players for this type of team, the style they play with. They're getting not a lot of playing time, but you're getting a lot of players playing a bunch, if that makes sense. And we're going to need all of them. Between, Talasia Cooper at the top to maybe just a girl off the bench like, Eddie Darby or Alyssa Latham, who's been playing pretty good, actually. But you're going to need all of them. Basically, you've got probably about 10 to 11 ladies that play pretty solid minutes. We've got, like you said, over 10 that are averaging more than 10 minutes a game, right? And we need that. Without that, these girls would literally be passing out on the floor. So we got to keep that up. And because a lot of the teams that you're going to be facing may have a little bit more size on you, but they're not going to have that depth that they're going to be able to, substitute the way you are. And so that's what we're going to have to do against these bigger teams is just wear them out, run up and down the court, get them tired, and then go to work at that point. I'm really excited about this team and what they have to present coming up in the SEC slate.
Yeah, and you brought up Kim Caldwell was asked a question earlier. Do you think it's going to hurt recruits maybe not wanting to come to Tennessee because they just won't get that playing time? That's completely false. I mean, you look right now, she's got the number 2 recruiting class right now going in the next season behind, I believe it's only LSU or South Carolina, one of those 2 teams. But either way, those 2 teams have won national titles in recent years. So you've got recruits that want to come play in this style of offense because they know they're at least going to play. They might not play 30, 35 minutes a game, but they're going to play. They're going to get their opportunities. So it's not just us excited about this, it's recruits as well. I think everybody is excited about this, but I'm going to ask you before we move on to the transfer portal, talking about football, what are your expectations? What are your realistic expectations for the Lady Vols this season?
Realistic expectations, year 1 under Kim Caldwell. I do want to be top 5 of the SEC. Like that is, I feel like that is almost a must in this program. We don't settle for less. I mean, Kelly Harper came in 4th place in the SEC last year, and you've seen what happened to her. Now, obviously, this is a completely different style. But I do think top 5 in the SEC, just for the regular season, and then make a push in that tournament, SEC tournament, see what you can do. I do feel like this team is built for tournament style ball. And so that excites me about that. But I don't know as far as wins and losses, man. I'm looking at their schedule. They got it about just as rough as the men's do. As far as, I'll go ahead and pull it up for you as well here, and so that you guys can see it with me. Let's see. Bear with me as I fight through technology. There we go. So we're starting SEC play at Texas A&M January 2nd. And then there you go. Number 9, Oklahoma. Number 6, LSU. You do get both of those at home, and I think you got to capitalize on that. But then you play, obviously, later in the year, number 5, Texas. Number 2, South Carolina. Number 7, UConn in the non-conference. That's a tough one. Especially backpacking that with number 6 LSU right after it. And then you end the year, or no, wait a second, hang on. You end the season with, 3 out of your last 5 games against 25 Ole Miss, 20 Alabama, and at 16 Kentucky. I don't know, man. I want to be top 5 in the SEC, but you look at some of these programs, Oklahoma, LSU, Texas, South Carolina. What do you think? Am I a little bit, should I almost tone back my expectations just a little bit, or am I right there?
I think 5th or 6th is about where you want to be sitting by the end of the SEC slate. I think right now there are 4 teams in the SEC that are just better than you right now. Now, can you slip up and win one of those games? Absolutely. But the 4 teams that are better than you right now are LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, and South Carolina. I think you can just about chalk those up as losses, but with the way this team plays, I'm not going to chalk any team that they play as just an absolute guaranteed loss. Yeah. I mean, we saw last year, South Carolina was clearly the better team, and Kelly Harper and this Tennessee team nearly beat them twice. Should have beat them in the SEC tournament. We won't dare go into details of that game because that's just going to hurt my feelings. But Kelly Harper last year should have beat South Carolina twice.
It's almost like she found ways to lose games.
Yeah, at times it did. But I do think that sitting 5th or 6th by the time that the regular season is over is perfect for this team.
And I think the reason why we feel that way is those other programs have been there multiple years and have built kind of like an empire. It's not like LSU's just come on strong this year. LSU's been good. South Carolina's been good for 5, 6, 7 years.
Texas has been good.
Texas has been good. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. So I do think we'll be able to play ball with them, but I'm not in my right mind going to come out here and just say, yeah, we're a top 3 team in the SEC when I haven't even seen us play SEC caliber competition yet. So, and that's just me having a high respect for the conference and what they've been able to do in the sport. So, no, I agree with you 100%. I would love for us to be in contention in the top 5 of the SEC because I think a top 5 program in the SEC could absolutely make an Elite 8 run, in my opinion. Now, I could see 4 or 5 teams out of the SEC making the Elite 8, depending on how the bracket shapes up. But that's March talk right now. We're talking start of the SEC, and Lady Vols kind of jumped right into it, and I'm curious to see how we stay aggressive against some of these bigger teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to piggyback off of what you said as well. This is absolutely a team that is built for tournament style basketball.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of these teams that play traditional type basketball. That means that you're going to play 5 to 7 people about, upper 20s to 30 minutes, some of them upwards of 35, 36 minutes a game. If you're playing like this year, the SEC tournament is going to be 16 teams. That means that you're playing, if you make the SEC title game, you're playing 4 straight days. Yeah. That wears on you. But if you've got a team that the most amount of minutes that anybody on your team is going to play is 20, I was going to say about 25. That means that you've got a lot fresher legs by the time you reach day 3 and day 4 than some of these other teams. So they absolutely play a tournament style ball that I'm really excited to see what they can do as the season gets further down.
Not only will they stay fresher, but you're asking that other team to now play the fastest pace they've ever played in those 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds of tournament ball. So, yeah, I think it plays well into their hands. They just got to go out there and execute, capitalize, stay hot, and keep shooting. I mean, at the end of the day, when you do have those games where it's not falling, the last thing you can do is get conservative, because I think at that point you kind of get ran out of your own building. But if they stay aggressive, keep shooting, this team's gonna be fun to watch for sure, no matter what. So
Lady Vols, I think we mentioned the Tennessee men's. Let's see, they play New Year's Eve against Norfolk State. Then next Saturday is the big one against Arkansas. Welcoming Jonas Adu back in. Won't be a very warm welcome, but that's what the Vols have going on this week. The Lady Vols, they kick off SEC play Thursday night at Texas A&M. So kicking it off as soon as New Year starts, man. I'm really excited to see what both of these teams are going to do.
No, right on. Both teams right now 12-0, 24-0 combined for the basketball programs here in Tennessee. Feeling about as good as we can going into SEC play, but I hope they keep it rolling.
Yep, absolutely. So that concludes our basketball talk for this week. We are going to talk a little bit more football, just shifting gears, as it's been a big week in the transfer portal.
Has it been a good week?
Maybe, but not necessarily.
Oh, all right. That means a no. All right, well, let's talk about it. Our segment 2 sponsor is P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. To reach out to P&L Business Services, once again, right here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, just go online at pnlbusinessservices.com. Thank you so much for your continued support. And yeah, let's talk about this transfer portal. You want to talk about the transfers out first? You want to talk about what we got going in so far?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I've got some of the big names on the screen right there in Squirrel White, Vyson Lang, Khalifa Keith, and Chaz Nimrod. Those are some big names. There's a total of 17. And Skylar, are you pulling up the list there?
I've got them right here, brother, man. I'm going to pull them up. So all right. Cameron Seldon has already announced that he is transferring to Virginia Tech. Khalifa Keith has announced that he's transferring to Appalachian State. Jalen Smith is one that kind of hit me the wrong way because I really like this kid at linebacker, and that room's already kind of thin. But he just announced that he's going to Mississippi State. Not sure what he's seen in that program. But, whatever. To each their own. Jordan Matthews, another big one. He's committed to Vanderbilt. Let me ask you this. Is that a scary sign that we're seeing Vanderbilt being able to poach our players? Or are you chalking this up as NIL? Anybody can kind of get anything. It doesn't mean anything. Because the way I look at it is like, we are Tennessee's team. We should be able to pick and choose whoever we want from the state of Tennessee. And I would think keep them. But Jordan Matthews, cornerback, maybe he just realizes that Ricky Gibson and Gerard McCoy have those positions on lock. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. It does concern me that Vanderbilt's able to get some guys like this from Tennessee. because that shows that Clark Lee is actually doing a good job out there at Vanderbilt. But at the same time, I do think that it's Jordan Matthews looking just seeing the writing on the wall there. Jamal McCoy and Ricky Gibson, they both have at least one more year left here at Tennessee. He wasn't going to see playing time for another year, and I do think that he's good enough, and he believes in himself that he's good enough to go out and play somewhere and make an impact right away.
Right on. So let's get into some of these wide receivers. Obviously, Caleb Webb. He's already announced that he's going to Maryland. You got Vyson Lang, who I thought was going to really compete for the center's position, but I think he lost that to Satterwhite, so he's now in the transfer portal. Hasn't yet announced where he's going. Chaz Nimrod, once again, another wide receiver. He hasn't announced. Nathan Leacock. A lot of these guys play, by the way. Chaz Nimrod played a crap ton, and he's in the portal. He's Caleb Webb, I thought, played a crap ton. He's in the portal. Nathan Leacock, maybe not as much, but he was a year younger than those other two guys. Nate Spillman, a wide receiver that obviously we haven't really seen a lot of Nate Spillman, but he's in the portal as well. Christian Harrison, a safety, I guess, just could not beat out Will Brooks.
Well, he couldn't beat out Will Brooks, and towards the end of the year, this is who Boo Carter started over. I mean, Christian Harrison, after Jordan Thomas went down at the beginning of the season, that was his job, and Boo Carter just came in and took it over.
So let's break this down. Jason Jenkins, by the way, he had a coming out party against Oklahoma in that second half. I thought he played very good on the defensive line, but again, defensive line we're pretty stacked on, for all intents and purposes. Obviously, we're losing a couple guys to the draft, but not everybody. So let's look at who are we actually losing? You got to remember, some of these kids have to leave in order to make room for the players that we have coming in, right?
Yep.
So let's start it at the top with the running backs, our two of our higher rated players, Cameron Seldon and Khalifa Keith. By the way, I thought this was happening because I really had a thought that maybe, just maybe, we were getting old number 6 back. I thought that's what this was. Now, obviously, Sampson has declared for the NFL draft, so that kind of wiped that out. So now we're looking at Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis as your 1 and 2 currently. And I like Peyton Lewis a lot.
Yep.
So
I like Deshaun Bishop a lot.
Cam Seldon was hurt a lot this year, but I felt like he was a good back.
Yep.
Khalifa Keith, we really didn't see a lot of, but he was a great depth piece.
Look, I really liked Khalifa Keith, and as soon as he entered the portal, I said, you know what? I've got no hard feelings. And Khalifa Keith did not want to leave. I mean, he was Tennessee through and through, but it's kind of the same deal that I said with Jordan Matthews. He saw the writing on the wall. Hey, I'm the number 4 guy right now. I'm behind Deshaun Bishop. I'm behind Peyton Lewis. I'm behind Cam Seldon. And if Dylan Sampson comes back, that's just one more person that I'm behind.
And if I'm not mistaken, we have a 4-star coming in, a 4-star running back coming in this cycle as well.
We've got 2 running backs coming in, and I know one of them is a 4-star. I'll look up real quick who the other one is, because you've got let's see, running back. You got 3-star Dwayne Morris from Oakland in Murfreesboro that's coming in, and I know there's another one. You've also got, very high 3-star Justin Baker out of Georgia. I really think he's a 4-star. But GoVols 24/7 has him listed as a 3-star right now. But you've got 2 running backs that are very highly rated coming in next season's recruiting class. So, I mean, maybe he's looking at that saying, well, are these guys going to beat me out?
So, to that point, I'm not going to say I'm comfortable because we're always an injury away from needing a lot of these guys. But for the most part, we're not losing a key, just an absolute key player in our offense or in our running back room, correct?
Right.
Cam Seldon was probably going to be your 2, but he's gone. So you feel him?
I think he was going to be the 3 next year.
He probably was, and that's probably why he's in the portals. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like, it's not like, okay, then let's make our way down. Jalen Smith, I do feel like would have been your first rotational guy at the linebacker position.
Jalen Smith hurt a little bit. But
he would have been your 2 deep because you would have had T. Lander and Arion Carter is your 1 and 2.
And then you've got oh shoot, can't think of his name now.
Caleb Perry.
Yes, Caleb Perry. Thank you. You've got him as well. That's going to be another guy in that rotation. But I wonder if Jalen Smith looked at what you've got coming in as well, because you do have some highly touted linebackers coming in this class as well. You've got 4-star Christian Gass, who everybody is talking about coming in this year. Jaden Perlote, not sure exactly how you say that. He's also a 4-star linebacker. And then Jaden Harmon, a 4-star linebacker coming into this class. So you're filling some roles there. You also got three-star Brendan Ains coming in as well.
So you're pretty much already filling that spot.
You are. But also with Jalen Smith, he's already got a year in the system.
I agree.
Maybe has a step up. So I think that one hurts a little bit. But you are filling that depth that you need to at linebacker with some of these recruits.
The way I'm looking at it is look at where they are committing to. It's not like this guy is leaving us and going to a Georgia or an Alabama or Ohio State. He's going to Mississippi State. That tells me that maybe it's not really so much about money. He just wants to play. Like the kid knows that if he goes to Mississippi State, he could probably be a starter. And to be honest with you, to each their own. Have a good day. Thank you for spending a year or two here in Neyland and in Knoxville. But Jordan Matthews, let's make our way on down. Cornerback. I don't feel like we're missing a ton there. You know who's playing and starting at those two roles. There's really no, obviously you want the depth piece, and we're going to have that.
That's what I was going to say. That's a depth piece that we're missing because I think he's talented, but ultimately that's another guy. He just wants to go play somewhere, and I think he will be a starter at Vanderbilt.
Going to Vanderbilt, trying to start. Exactly. We get into our wide receiver room. Wendell Moe, by the way. Oh, he's coming in. I'm sorry. I thought I had this clicked on. Okay. So we did get him. He's coming in. That's a big needed piece.
He's a dog, by the way.
Yes. He's a 4-star. Check out where he's from. Wonder if Nico played a part in that. I don't know, but yeah, exactly. But Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, Nathan Leacock, Nate Spillman. Guys, for anybody watching, Mike Matthews is not a part of this. He has requested papers. He is not officially in the portal. He's still on the team as of today. So he's still on the team. But with that being said, is this like oh my God, the sky is falling? Or is this yet again just like kids that are trying to get some more playing time? Because in our offense, if you're not the top 3-4 of the wide receiver room, you're not playing. Not a lot, at least. So you've got Chris Brazzell coming back, a for sure starter. Squirrel White did announce that he's intending to enter the portal. I don't even know if that's official. But
he's in the portal.
He is? Okay, so you've got Chris Brazzell. At the moment, Mike Matthews.
Yep.
You've got incoming freshman. Is it Radarius Jackson? He's
Let's see, Radarius Jackson. Sorry, I gotta find a wide receivers.
But you got Brandon
Radarius Jackson. He is an absolute dog from Sheffield and Memphis. Yep. You've also got Joakim Dotson from Baylor School in Chattanooga. I've seen some tape on him. He is fantastic.
Okay. You've got Boo Carter, who's probably going to be playing on the offensive side. You've got Braylon Staley, who is a 4-star wide receiver who came in with Mike Matthews.
And I really like Braylon Staley.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting. Like, I almost feel like this is, you got to just make room. Like, I almost wonder if some of this is like coach intended, like, hey, man, go find somewhere else. And I hate to sound like that, but I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that does happen in places. Like, hey, I've got to have room for some of these other kids. With all due respect, you're going to be probably a backup role anyways. I don't know. That's not how those conversations happen.
I mean, let's look at it here. Caleb Webb is one. He's going to be a backup. And I think that the end of season conversation, it probably has something to do with that. Look, you're probably going to be a backup here. Chaz Nimrod, you had your shot this year at times.
He dropped the ball
and you did not take it. look, I've got no hard feelings against any of these guys. I don't like that they're leaving, but I understand why they're leaving.
Backflip Spaghetti comes in, and I think he's got a point here. Boo is also the reason why some of these receivers have made the move, and I agree, because what does it say to you when you've been practicing this position, like Nathan Leacock, Chaz Nimrod, Nate Spillman, for 2 or 3 years, and now you've got a freshman who's just about to be a true sophomore who's been able to pull strings and basically say, hey, I'm out if I'm not playing wide receiver next year. And they grant him that, right? Because it's already official that he's coming back. So now you've got these other wide receivers that are almost getting slapped in the face saying, oh, by the way, now you're going to be battling this kid who's probably better than you too. I don't know, but I have a feeling that that's what played into some of their minds. But again, I don't feel like none of these guys are just absolutely astronomical in, oh my God, we're going to have no offense next year because we're losing these kids.
Yeah, like I said about Nimrod, he had his chance this year and he did not take it. Now Leacock, I am a little bit disappointed to see go, because I think he had a lot of potential, but he also had some injuries and was just never able to get up out of that depth of room down there. So, I understand why he wants to leave. Spillman, another one, he just could not overcome that depth. Yeah, you don't have Squirrel White on your list for the transfer portal, but I do. Yet. I do on GoVols 24/7. He's actually top of the list there. And Squirrel White is one that, he's a smaller guy. It's hard to play him anywhere but the slot. And this season, with the way things went, it's almost like him and Nico just never really connected. Yeah. I don't know what was going on there, but I mean, some of these guys, I hate to see them go, but also I understand why they're leaving. Now, the person that we just kind of mentioned, Vyson Lang, that one really surprised me.
Really?
I think that you're losing 4 guys off the offensive line right now. You're losing your center in Cooper Mays. And that's another thing right there. I'm high on Satterwhite, and I hope that he's that guy that could come in and do it. But I said to you last week, look, we need a center. And if I was to ask Josh Heupel and the staff right now, who is your center for next year? If there is any hesitation whatsoever and you don't say Satterwhite right off the bat, go to the portal right now, get a center. That is the biggest piece of this offense that you need. That center runs this offense. He helps get everything set on the line. If you don't have a good center, then the connection there between center and quarterback is not good. And then we're going to have even more people saying that Nico is the problem, when I'm sorry, guys, he's not the problem. Nico is not the problem. There are some other problems that need to be fixed, but you've got to have a good center. And I've got confidence that it is Satterwhite. But like I said, if the coaches even hesitate when saying his name, go find somebody.
My thing is you already know who's replacing, or at least you know who your 3 starters are on the offensive line. You know who's starting at middle. We think we know it's William Satterwhite. That's why Vyson Lang's entered. You know that Lance Hurd is starting probably
left tackle.
And and we're going to bring it up on stream, this guy's starting at the other tackle position. There's no doubt about it. In my opinion, David Sanders is going to be starting at that other tackle. So let's start.
If he's not, then there's a problem.
Exactly. So let's start going through, now that we went through all the transfers, because I'm about to make everybody feel better. Because like Backflip Spaghetti said, it just looks bad that you're losing all these kids. I don't think so. And the reason why is because you got Isaiah Campbell, who's going to replace a person on the defensive line. And he's dang near close to a 5-star, by the way. Marion Dye, another edge player. You got Travis Smith coming in as a 4-star wide receiver who's insane, by the way. Yeah. That's going to replace one of your wide receivers. Deshaun Brames replacing Holden Stays, a 4-star tight end. You're basically going to have Miles Kitselman. I think he's going to be able to come back because he requested for another year, and nobody's been able to lose the NCAA in quite some time, so I think he's going to get that. Then you've got Ethan Davis and Deshaun Brame. I think that's going to be a solid tight end room. Now, obviously, Deshaun Brame's not going to see a ton of time, but you're going to see guys like Ethan Davis get a lot more playing time. So keep it going. George McIntyre is going to be a key piece in that quarterback's room. Ethan Utley, another defensive lineman.
And dude is an absolute dog, man.
Dude is an absolute dog.
I've seen some of his film as well, and Ethan Utley is awesome.
Redarius Jackson, another 4-star wide receiver. So now we've basically taken care of Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, just with the incoming freshman, right? This is the kid you were talking about, Jaden Harmon, linebacker, 4-star. I mean, this class is pretty loaded, and we got to make some room for it, right? Christian Gass, another kid that you were talking about, linebacker. Nick Moore, by the way, inside interior offensive line, 4-star, big kid, 6'2.5", 6'3", 290 pounds now. When he gets on campus in the spring, summer, he's probably going to be close to 305. I'm not joking. And so, I look at a lot of these. Jaden Lofton, another edge player, got another tight end, 4-star, Jack Van Dorsey. You got Charles House, defensive line. We're going to be able to replace these guys on the defensive line, and we're going to be able to coach these kids up because they're only going to be asked to play 6 to 8 plays a game, but they're going to be so crucial in the development phase, right? Charles House, by the way, really good player. I've seen some of his film. But guys, you look at this, Jakeem Dotson, the kid that you were talking about earlier, he's only a 3-star, but he's a highly rated 3, 89.3 basically, just on the verge of being a 4-star, top 500 player in the nation. You've got a class coming in that I think is going to be able to fill a lot of these roles that we're losing. And I just don't see it as a panic button. A lot of our fans right now are acting kind of dumb and thinking that the sky is falling, when I think a lot of this is seriously just trying to make moves to get the room. You got to remember, we're still under a scholarship probation.
Yep.
So you've got to make the room on the roster to be able to bring these kids in and also keep a little bit of room for you to be able to go out and get 1 or 2 players. Josh Heupel's been able to do this so good. The players that we get out of the portal are freaking crucial, if not on year 1, by year 2, if they've got the eligibility. So I don't know, man.
Speaking of one of those, we mentioned him a little bit, Wendell Moe, that we just picked up from Arizona. I think that's going to be a day 1 starter.
So now we know who
I was going to say filling either Andre Carrick's spot or Javonte Spraggins' spot.
So now you know 4 of your starters, and now it's like, okay, y'all battle it out. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you already know kind of already before we even get to spring ball, you already know who your offensive line is going to be. You know who your quarterback is. You know, you're feeling pretty good about the running back room, in my opinion, by the top 2 guys that you got in it. I think Peyton Lewis is going to be a freaking dog, in my opinion. Deshaun Bishop's going to have his fun. I think Peyton Lewis is going to be a dog.
Yep.
You got your wide receivers, and yeah, they may be a little young, but dude, they're talented as crap. Maybe some of the best talent we've had in a wide receiver room ever. And I don't know, just to me, and that's just on the offensive side of the ball, but I think defense is going to be fine. We've really got to focus this year on the offense, in my opinion. And I like what I'm seeing here. I don't see why there's a reason to, push the panic button.
Now, here's what I will say on the defensive side of the ball. Your defensive line is going to be fine. I know you're losing guys like James Pierce Jr. to the draft, Omar Norman Lott to the draft, guys like Jason Jenkins to the transfer portal.
Is gone.
Yeah, but you've got guys that can fill those spots. And with how much we rotate, we're going to find some diamonds in the rough somewhere. And with the guys we got coming in as well, I'm fine on the defensive line. Linebackers, yeah, it hurts losing Jalen Smith. That's a depth piece there. But who you've got returning as well as who you've got coming in, I'm confident in the linebacker room as well. Corners, we still got Ricky Gibson and we got Jermon McCoy coming back. We've got some talented young guys coming in as well. I'm confident there. Secondary, as far as
are we not getting Jacoby Thomas back too?
Jacoby Thomas should be back, but
he's off injury. I think he'll be okay. He got hurt in the fall. Remember?
Well, that was Jordan Thomas, but I do think
my fault.
I do think we do have Jacoby Thomas coming back as well. But I mean, you've got
he's one of our hardest.
He is, but you've got to find another piece somewhere, and I think you might need to get it out of the portal. I mean, obviously, you've got Boo Carter. He's an absolute dog. But especially if he's going to be playing both sides of the ball some coming up this season, you really need to have a depth piece there because he's going to get tired. I mean, I know he used to play both sides of the ball in high school, but that's high school, man. That's a different animal than college. And then we've had a walk-on in Will Brooks that has been playing over the last couple of years. That's because you don't have a scholarship guy that was able to take his spot.
I think Jordan Thomas needs to work on. I think that'll be a position where he works towards and becomes a starter there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the safety positions, you need to maybe get one or two out of the portal at least as a competition piece and a depth piece to kind of help out what you already have there. If there is a weakness on the defensive side of the ball, it's in the safety positions.
Sure. But, I mean, last but not least, and I'll kind of end it on this, we're not even talking about the 1 to 2 year jumps that we've seen at the quarterback position under Josh Heupel. I mean, it's Nico's second full year starting coming up. And I've already said this. We've said this. The wide receiver room may look a little bit less flashy, right? It's probably going to look a little worse. But I bet you the production out of that room is going to be 10 times. I'm not going to say 10 times better. It's probably going to be a lot better than what it was just because you're going to have a more confident player behind center than you had this year. And I'm not saying Nico's not a bad player. I think he's going to be a great one. And I think he had a great season. But there was no doubt in my mind that he played a little bit skittish, maybe a little scared, didn't know if he had time or not. I mean, it was his first year playing college ball. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing that jump in year 2 for Nico and just seeing how that makes everybody else around him better. Even if the offensive line takes a step back, Nico's going to be a little bit more patient or know when to run, be a little bit more decisive, keep his eyes down the field while he's running. I'm really excited about the pieces that we're going to end up getting out of the portal. It's going to help Nico. Nico's going to be more comfortable. He's going to be more experienced. I think it's going to be good fun. Good time next year. It's not panic for me.
Can I say this though about Nico?
Sure.
He only had one bad game this year. It might be a hot take, but he only had one bad game this year, and that was against Arkansas. Now he had some halves and some quarters he did not play well in. Oh, the Oklahoma game. Now, granted, Josh Heupel told him, "Look, we're relying on our defense here in the second half." Great, but he didn't have his best game in that one. The first half against Alabama didn't play too well. But the entire Arkansas game, he really did not play well at all. Other than that, you can look and he played decent throughout the whole rest of the season. When you've got wide receivers that cannot create separation, granted, I know that when they did, Nico didn't always hit them. That was on him. But when you've got wide receivers that can't create separation, that's a problem. When you've got some tackles that cannot block without holding, that's a problem. So I think Nico played very well, especially for his first full season under center at Tennessee. I think he played well with one full bad game. Like I said, he had some bad quarters, had some bad half, one bad game the entire season. But something has got to change somewhere when your highest receiving yards receiver this year has just barely over 600 yards in Dante Thornton. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And, I made a bold prediction at the beginning of the season that there would not be a single Tennessee wide receiver over 1,000 yards.
You know that one.
I didn't expect it to be that way. I thought that the ball was going to be spread around so much this year. You were going to have a couple of guys around 800, maybe one at 900, a couple at 500. No, we only had one person over 600. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that at all. So something has got to change. Is it the guys in the room? Well, if that's the case, we've got rid of a lot of those guys, whether it's because they're out of eligibility, going to the draft, or they're transferring. So if that's the problem, hopefully this season will be a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Batflip Spaghetti says that Nico played really good ball against Ohio State. It just kind of got overshadowed, and I would agree with that. I think he showed. I think you've seen heart out of Nico against that Ohio State game. I think you've seen the emotion when he scored that touchdown, and he just almost looked like a pissed off Nico. And I love to see it. I mean, that's something that I felt like we were kind of missing the first half of the season, like you were talking about against Arkansas. You kind of seen a little bit more of that come out in Nico in the second half of the season. He played really good ball ever since halftime at Alabama. I think
I was going to say that was the turning point when he took that lick at the end of the first half against Alabama. That second half, he just woke up, man. And the rest of the season, he played like a different Nico.
Overall, kind of wanted to just bring that up to show guys like, hey, the sky isn't falling. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like. It's the new era in college football. I mean, look at Ole Miss losing Quinshon Judkins last year. Alabama lost Caleb Downs last year, but it didn't really destroy their team. Now, you can arguably say, they didn't make the playoff. Well, sure. But, I mean, they kind of did that to themselves by losing to some really bad teams.
Well, I mean, you look at what else went on with Alabama. I mean, you got a new head coach. I mean, so there's a lot of different things that happen there. But I think now I haven't looked at the numbers, but I think when you look overall, Tennessee's not doing near as bad as a lot of these other SEC schools when it comes to guys hitting the portal.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. And I brought those players up because that was their bread and butter. That would be like Nico hitting the portal for us.
Which people speculated that he was. I knew that he was not.
No, it's not happening. And people are acting like Mike Matthews is that guy, but I completely disagree. We're going off of what we project Mike Matthews is going to be as the reason why it hurts us so bad that he's going or possibly entering the portal, which, okay, I understand that. But at the end of the day, we were a 10-win team without having to play him that often. What can we – I mean, it's not like – just in my mind, it's not like we're losing our team because a player like that entered the portal. In my opinion, we've lost some key pieces. We've lost a lot of pieces, some key. But overall, when you look at who we've got coming in, we had to make room. I believe in this coaching staff to develop and coach the kids that we have coming in to be even better kids that maybe we've had in the past. Now, overall, I do think that we still need some changes. There's been some rumors and speculation that the wide receiver coach isn't the greatest. I don't know what I think on that because I don't really have a lot of facts on it. But I do think that we need to change somewhere on the offensive side of the ball because obviously that's got to be the biggest emphasis for Josh Heupel going into year 4.
Going into year 5.
Yes, 5. Yeah, that's what I meant. 100%.
Yeah. And I'm on record saying that I think there needs to be a change made on the offensive line as far as the coach goes. This is just me speculating as well. And Backflip Spaghetti, we really appreciate you tuning in tonight. Obviously, you can come back at any time and rewatch the rest of it as it will be on YouTube. But we really appreciate you. Yeah, we do. So we really appreciate you tuning in for the time that you were able to tonight. But I don't have any like inside information on there or anything, but I can just look at this and say Tennessee has not had an offensive line recruit that has started on that offensive line since Josh Heupel got here in 2021. It has either been guys that were already here when he got here or transfer portal guys. Now, is that development or is it other issues going on there? I'm not sure, but right now it's almost sounding like development. So I'm thinking
it could be development, but at the end of the day, you've got like 6-year players starting on. You had 4 of your 5 offensive linemen this year being like 6-year players. I mean, it's kind of hard to ask a sophomore or junior to say, "Oh, by the way, let's outplay this guy who's been in the league for 6 years." I think it's been some unforeseen circumstances, but I'm not going to sit there and just discredit development when. I mean, but in the NFL, if you got a guy that's been in the league for 3 years, are you going to have a rookie play? I mean, if they're the same talent, I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, like unforeseen circumstances that kind of caused that to happen. But
at the same time, and nothing negative towards the kid at all because he is evolved through and through. But Dane Davis, is there not a single person that is better than Dane Davis? I mean, he was a 5th, 6-year player, whatever, that he would do whatever the coaches asked him to. He would play whatever position they asked him to. Wasn't the best athlete out there, though. So you're telling me that there's not a single guy that you have recruited that is better than Dane Davis on that offensive line? And I'm just throwing that name out there. I'm not picking on him by any means, but all right, I'll even say John Campbell Jr., dude. I mean, a guy out of the portal that he was good at times, but other times it looked like he couldn't block a soul. There's nobody on that team that could do better than him. I mean, personally, I thought Larry Johnson played a little bit better than he did whenever he got hurt.
I think Larry Johnson played pretty good. I think what you're seeing, though, is the difference of just caliber of an athlete. Unfortunately, even though we've had recruits come in, our recruits have not been the top tier recruits. Let's be honest about that. So
that's fair too.
I mean, the kid that went to Arkansas was a 4-star, and I thought that he was going to play a lot this coming season, but then he obviously transferred out. So I mean, you just gotta. I mean, it's twofold. I mean, we could go in. It's a long conversation we can get in about it. I think you're right though. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit here and say that you're wrong, but I'm sitting here also saying like, okay, but there's also other reasons why they weren't playing, not just the fact that development was bad or poor. But overall, I just don't feel like the sky's falling. I think we're going to be just fine.
Absolutely not.
I think even if the wide receiver room took a hit, I still think the production from that room is going to be a little bit better because I think Nico's only going to improve, which I think the running back room, even if they took a hit, could improve. Now, this might sound stupid. I don't care. But I think the running back room could improve because if you open up that passing game to what it can be, what is it going to do? It's going to spread the box back open again, and you're going to see a bunch of breakout runs like we've seen in 22. I just think overall you might actually lose some pieces that might seem flashy or really good, but overall the team could get better statistically off of that just because of the improvement I'm expecting to see out of our passing game and of our offense. But I do think we need some changes on the offensive coaching staff. Anyways, any final thoughts before we get into our picks?
I mean, you've said it over and over again. Do not panic, Vols fans. We've had 17 guys that have hit the portal. Those guys can't be replaced, though. They're not the cream of the crop guys that, Skylar mentioned, like a Quinshot Judkins at Ole Miss, a Caleb Downs at Alabama. It's not guys like that are just like, hey, it's going to be tough to replace them. These are guys that they saw the writing on the wall, really. They want to go play somewhere. They're probably not going to get it here at Tennessee.
Do y'all not remember when Dylan Sampson did this 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It's the game. Everybody does it. Boo Carter did it. And Boo Carter would have been one of those if he'd hit the portal. I would have been like, damn, like that's going to be a hard piece to replace. And not just because of what he could do on the offensive side. I mean, he played really good defense this year as a true freshman. But guys, it's the name of the game. You're going to see a bunch of people bluff to go into the portal just to kind of secure a better deal for themselves. And you can't fault them for that. NCAA and this college world's allowing these players to do that. You can't fault the player, right? They got to take care of themselves and their family as well. And I mean, I would like to say a lot of you guys would do the same thing if y'all had the opportunity. So overall, it is what it is. I hate the way it is because I miss when college football was about people being proud to wear that logo on that helmet more than anything else. But at the end of the day, we got to control what we can control, and that is pouring a lot of money at Mike Matthews right now.
yeah, exactly. But
so,
it's time to make some picks, dude. We've got a loaded schedule this week, but before we do that, I'm going to give you our segment 3 sponsor. It is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, we've got SEC bowl games this week, and we've got college football playoff games this week. As we've got 9 games to pick from this week. And
have you, by chance, before we get into this, have you seen some of the bowl games that have already taken place?
Yeah, I've been watching different bowl games on
Oklahoma has now taken the throne of biggest embarrassment away from Tennessee. That was pretty bad. Losing to Army?
Navy.
Sorry, no disrespect. Lost to Navy.
You can't get those mixed up, man. They'll hurt
you for
that. So.
I'm sorry. They wore the uniforms that they played against. They re-wore them for the bowl game, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, shout out to a guy that we've had on the show, by the way, Ben Franklin. Member of that Navy squad. Didn't get a ton of playing time this year. Did play some special teams, but member of that squad that beat Army this year and got the bowl win over Oklahoma.
That's right. But I wanted to bring up Cam Ward and Miami if you didn't watch that. So, we talk about opt-outs, opt-ins, whatnot. Cam Ward plays the first half for Miami. Looks amazing. Breaks the all-time Division I passing touchdown record. And then at halftime tells his team, I'm done. I am opting out of the second half and preserving my body for the NFL. Basically, super selfish move just to break the record and then say I'm done. Miami then proceeds to lose the football game in the second half. I think that's honestly, you can't bet on bowl games, guys. This is insane right now. Look at Colorado. Shadur and Travis opt in. They're like, no, man, we're bought into the team. Well, it didn't freaking matter. You still got smacked by BYU. It was pathetic. It was ugly. And honestly, I think Shadur Sanders, it won't happen, but his draft stock should have went down after that game. It was bad. He was just lobbing the ball up. He's
not that good.
No, this is what I'm talking about when I say level of competition. Big 12 ain't that great of competition. So when you win 9 games in the Big 12, that is not the same as winning 9 games in the SEC. And I almost want to say Big 10, but Big 10 is really top heavy. Like outside the top 3 or 4 teams in the Big 10, everybody else is kind of trash. Anyways, I just wanted to know your thoughts on some of those games.
There's some that have gone as expected. There's some that, let's look at, I know it's not SEC or anything, but look at Toledo beating Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, who was at the top of the ACC for the first half of the season, undefeated. With opt-outs and all that, 6 overtime game, Toledo ends up beating you. That's why, like you said, you cannot bet on bowl games.
Cam cost me money. Only leg of a 5-leg parlay that I missed.
Oh, man.
That is brutal the way that happened. Anyways, let's get into our picks.
Yeah, you also pulled up the comment from just a minute ago. We will give the standings whenever we do. We will have upset pick of the week this week, as there is a couple of games with some big spreads, some games that we like. So we'll pull up the standings when we get to upset pick of the week.
See how excited he got when you brought that up? I think my man got a little bit bigger of a lead. Yeah, he
just a little
bit. It's all right. I'm coming all the way back in the very last week. Not last week, but very close to last week. It's fine. I got this. It's fine.
All right, first game this week. It is Iowa going up against Missouri. This is the Music City Bowl at 2:30 Eastern tomorrow. Let me guess. Skeeter's in the house.
Did you say Music City Bowl?
I sure did.
Drinkwood saying that they were still in the playoff hunt.
And they're in the Music City Bowl.
They're in the Music City Bowl. Oh, that's good stuff right there. Sorry.
Yep. Missouri is a 2.5-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, I'll take Iowa.
You'll take Iowa in this one.
Yeah. Oh, that is good. That is good stuff, Drinks. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I don't know who all is playing and who is not playing in this game.
Guess. It doesn't matter what the spreads are.
But look, I'm gonna take a Missouri team that I know can score some points over a Iowa team that I don't know if they can score points. They've got a good defense, but Missouri also has a decent defense as well. I know that, especially if Brady Cook is playing, which I think he will be in this game. Like I said, don't know that for sure. I trust him.
He should. He's not going anywhere in the NFL. He might land on a practice squad, but for his sake, this is his last opportunity to play real football. I think he should play.
Exactly. I trust Brady Cook more than I do anybody for Iowa, so I'm going to take Missouri in this one. By the way, we didn't even bring up how the one game we were confident about last week at Texas A&M lost. I was super confident in them beating USC, and they lost.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And the way they lost, too. That was another bad loss. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's
it
fine.
was. All right,
SEC looking strong so far.
yeah. So next game, this one is on Tuesday. It's New Year's Eve. Alabama going up against Michigan. This is at 12 Eastern on ESPN. Alabama 13.5-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, they should be. Alabama's going to roll.
Yeah, this is the ReliaQuest Bowl, formerly known as the Outback Bowl. I'm also going to take Alabama to roll in this game.
What's funny is this is like a recent matchup. Alabama played Michigan not too long ago in a bowl game where they freaking killed them because they were trying to prove that they should have been in the Final Four of the playoffs. But I can't remember what bowl it was.
This is a rematch of last year's semifinal game that Michigan won on that fourth down.
Yes, but that's not what I'm talking about. This matchup alone, this happened in a bowl game where they both missed the playoff one year. I can't remember what year it was. But anyways, I think this is a perfect spot where Alabama puts about 60 on them just because they're mad. And they're then going to post about 1,000 times how they should have been in the playoff after the game, which means nothing. So anyways, give me Bama.
All right, next game. This is also on Tuesday. South Carolina going up against Illinois. This is at 3 Eastern on ABC. South Carolina, 10.5-point favorite in this game. This is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
I like both of these teams, but I gotta think with Lenore Sellers playing, South Carolina should win this game.
That's the thing is South Carolina's pretty much got everybody playing because they were so young. Other than anybody that's transferring out, their main pieces like Lenore Sellers that you brought up, I believe Rocket Sanders is playing as well. You've got your main pieces playing in this game, and I think that's why South Carolina gets the win. I do like Brent Bielema though, and Illinois.
Yeah,
I like that squad.
That win over Miami, that was awesome. No,
that was Syracuse.
That's Syracuse. Golly, I'm confusing the crap out of my teams here. Anyways, they were the only 9-3 team in the Big Ten, I think. Illinois.
Well, I mean, everybody else was either 10-2 or better, or they were like 7-5 and worse. So
I know. But anyways, fun fact.
All right, so next game, it is Baylor against LSU. This is at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. This is the Kinder's Texas Bowl. LSU is a 3.5-point underdog.
Good job, Brian Kelly. Outstanding job in year 3 or 4, whatever it is. I'll take LSU to get the upset here. I don't think Baylor's all that.
I mean, LSU does have a lot of guys playing in this game that were on the squad earlier. Garrett Nussmeier, he'll be back next year. He's playing in this game. You've got a lot of the skill players coming back, but I'm going to take Baylor to win this game for no reason other than I don't trust Brian Kelly. I don't trust LSU. Give me Baylor.
Yeah, I've not trusted Brian Kelly or LSU all year, and it's won me a lot of money, but I just don't know. I don't know about Baylor, so I'll take LSU.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either, but now we're getting into some games that matter as it is college football playoffs. This one is the Tuesday night game. Penn State going up against Boise State, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Penn State, an 11.5-point favorite in this game. Give me Boise State to upset Penn State in this game.
Calling a shot very confidently too.
Let's see. This one is the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, and I know this has nothing to do with this game, but Boise State has had Fiesta Bowl magic before. I'm going back to the Oklahoma game in the Fiesta Bowl many years ago. I believe that was
the flea flicker off the catch, and
the hook and ladder, then the Statue of Liberty for the 2-point conversion. I mean, they've got some magic in the Fiesta Bowl. But I think this is a great matchup for Boise State. Both of these teams love to run the ball. Penn State, Drew Aller, he's good, but I don't trust him. But this Boise State offensive line, and they've got the best player in the nation in Ashton Jeanty, a guy that should have won the Heisman. I trust Boise State in this game to get the victory.
You know who I don't trust the most?
Ashton Jeanty?
No. Old James Franklin.
Yeah. That's another thing is, look, I know that Penn State, when they're favored, James Franklin has a very good record, but I agree. I do not trust him in the big games.
But
this is a big game.
But the problem is he's favored by a lot. And their tight end, I think, gets overlooked and how good of a player he is. That Warren kid,
He is a very good player.
Very good player. All Drew Aller has to do is just get the ball into his hands. On top of that, I do think Penn State's defense is a little scrappy, and they showed that against
SMU.
Thank you, SMU. 2-3 pick sixes. I can't even remember how many they had against SMU, but it was an absurd amount of interceptions, turnovers. I am going to take Penn State here. I'm not going to take the bait. And I mean, if it's been as chalky as it's been, they win by 2 touchdowns. But we'll see if Boise State's got something for them after the bye. First round bye.
That's fair. All right. New Year's Day, we have Texas going up against Arizona State at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Oh, scatterboo. Scatterboo.
This is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Texas, a 12.5-point favorite. What say you?
The Longhorns win this one. They've got everything Arizona State has and more. I think their defense is pretty solid. The running game with Wisner and Blue? Those kids are freaking good at the running back position. I think you are going to see a little bit of arch, but honestly, Ewers didn't look so bad last round or against Clemson. So, I don't know. I just think Longhorns have more than Arizona State, and I think they get the win here.
Yeah, ultimately this one, I'm going to agree with you. I love Scatterboo for Arizona State. And they've got a very young, freshman quarterback that is also impressed, but he hasn't gone up against a defense like Texas has got. I think the defense for Texas is what does win them this game. The running backs, Wiseman and Blue, they're very good as well. And I think that they will have to have a day for Texas to have success because, Ewers at times, he shows up and he shows out. But he also has times where he doesn't show up. This could be one of those games, and the running backs are going to have to take it over. But I do think Texas wins this game. I don't know what the over-under is. I'm trying to look that up real quick.
It's like 52. All these games are
51.5. Take the under in this game.
Dude, I nailed that off the top of my head because all these games are a little higher than I would have thought they would have been. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, take the under in this game. This is going to be a ground and pound type game for both teams. But
you don't think you don't think there's a chance of like a 38-13 Longhorns win here? You don't think it's a comfortable win? I think it's a comfortable win.
I don't think it is. I think the defense.
You're giving the Big 12 way too much credit here.
No, I think that the defense for Texas is going to keep Arizona State to low scoring. But I think that Texas is going to have to rely on the running game in this one. Now, I could be completely wrong and it be a game like you're talking about, 38-13. But I think that it's 2 touchdowns. But I think it's like, 24-10, 28-13, something like that.
LSU better be glad this whole alignment bullcrap didn't happen before because you get a guy like Jaden Daniels to come to LSU who came from Arizona State. Does he transfer? If he's playing in the Big 12, pretty easy chance to get the playoff. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the world is different in college football now than it was just 2-3 years ago. So,
yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, man.
Right. Next game on New Year's Day, it is the Rose Bowl game. It is Ohio State. It is Oregon. This is at 4 Eastern on ESPN. Ohio State, a 2.5-point favorite in this game.
If they play 30% of how they played against Tennessee, they win this game by a touchdown or 2. If they play anything of what they played against Tennessee, and that's me respecting them and giving them all the credit, the way they just came out and dominated from start to finish. Can they do that against Oregon? Can Ryan Day keep that up with the pressure on his shoulders? I don't know. That is yet to be seen. But as a Tennessee fan, I have to root for him to win the whole thing. So give me Ohio State.
Oh, man.
God, that hurt.
See, I was going to come in here with Ohio State has been waiting on this rematch since they lost earlier this season. They were expecting it in the Big Ten championship game, but instead they're going to get in the quarterfinals of the playoff. And I was going to come in here with Ohio State wins this game and wins by 2 touchdowns. But you stole my thunder with that one.
I'm sorry, Billy. You should have took last game first then. You shouldn't.
That's fair. No, I think, and I'm going on record here saying that I think Ohio State wins this game, but I'm going to take Oregon in this one. I do think that Dan Lanning is a fantastic coach, and I think that Dylan Gabriel is a very good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a very good quarterback. And all Oregon has done is win this year. Even whenever we expected them to lose or we expected them to have a down game, they still find a way to win.
You're a good podcaster already. See how you covered up your look, I'm on record to think that, okay, Oregon's going to win this game, but I'm going to take Ohio State. No, I'm joking. No, that's good. I like it, though. Keeps the little game that we got under the table pretty exciting when you're choosing the other team here. But no, as a Tennessee fan, though, you get where I'm coming from, right?
Yes, you want Ohio State to win it all because you lost to the eventual national champion.
Yeah, and the way you lost, it was very embarrassing. But if they go out and win the whole thing, then you kind of hang your hat on like, well, I mean, you lost to the national champion.
Look, can I say this, though? The winner of this game goes on to win the national championship.
There's still a team out there. Got a couple horns like this.
The winner of this game goes on to win the national championship. I'm calling it now.
We'll see. All right, man. Next game.
All right, so the next game, this is the nightcap on New Year's Day. It is Notre Dame going up against Georgia. I believe this is the Sugar Bowl. Yep, Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Georgia. A 1.5-point favorite in this game.
Justin wants to bet. Wants to bet you on that take that you had there. I don't know, man. With how chalky the first round was, I don't think that you're necessarily wrong. But so this game right here is intriguing. It is very intriguing. And the reason why is because go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll go first on this one because I don't think you're gonna pick who I'm gonna pick.
I mean, I was going to take Notre Dame, but that's fine.
Well, here we go again. I was also going to take Notre Dame, but
I'll let you take them this time. I'll take Georgia. I'm on record to say that Notre Dame is probably going to win. No, I'm joking. So the reason why this is intriguing, though, is because you got Notre Dame is playing pretty darn good ball, but I've been a noted Notre Dame hater, but it seems like every time I say that and every time I pick against them, they just freaking prove me wrong. But I look at this Georgia team. Now, I will say they are officially without Carson Beck, but that means that they've been able to prepare with their quarterback for 4 weeks now, or 3 weeks because they were in the SEC championship. So for 3 weeks straight, they've been able to prepare for Gunnar Stockton, to be that number one guy. Now, he looked okay at times, looked pretty atrocious at others against Texas. Now, I do think Texas got a good defense, though. But I'm intrigued in this matchup. I'll give Georgia the benefit of the doubt only because you're picking Notre Dame. I'll give Georgia the benefit of the doubt because I do think that they're going to lean a little heavier on that defense and getting the ball out of Gunnar Stockton's hand. But who knows? Maybe they're going to bring in his running game into this game, and it could have a good game. As far as, I mean, you kind of seen a little bit of it. If nothing's there, he just kind of takes off, and I kind of want to see how that Notre Dame defense defends that. They've not really been able to play a bunch of run-heavy or mobile quarterbacks this year. I want to see if Gunnar Stockton kind of use that to his advantage.
So let me tell you why I'm picking Notre Dame in this game, or why I was wanting to pick them from the start. Notre Dame is the hottest team in college football right now. I know that they have got Northern Illinois on their schedule with that loss back earlier, but they have taken that game and just absolutely dominated every team that they have played since then.
You want to pull up the schedule?
I mean, yeah, they have not. They've not played a super strong schedule, but all right. We also said that about Indiana, and granted,
they got rocked.
I was going to say the two best teams that they have played all year long, they lost to. But to their credit, they dominated everybody else, which is what Notre Dame has done. And they even dominated Navy and Army. Now, granted, Navy and Army, they're not two big teams, but they were both ranked in the top 25 whenever Notre Dame played them, and they embarrassed them. USC, they dominated that game from start to finish. USC is not a great team, but USC historically is a good team. They also have that win against Texas A&M at the beginning of the season. Now, granted, that was 4 months ago now. But Notre Dame is a hot team right now, the hottest in the nation. They have got a very good defense. They have got a more experienced quarterback playing in this game than Georgia does. I will say this. I trust Kirby Smart for Georgia. And a lot of times coaching will make up for a lot of things. Georgia has also got a higher percentage of blue chip players than Notre Dame does. But I think that a lot is riding on this game for Marcus Freeman. All right, let's pull up this schedule real quick.
All right. They started the season off against A&M. They got a big win there by 10 points. They then lost second week of the season to Northern Illinois, which you alluded to. They have since then beaten Purdue, god-awful team. Miami of Ohio, god-awful team. Louisville, not a good team.
Louisville's a decent team.
No,
they're not good,
500.
but they're decent. No, they were 8-4 this year.
500 in the ACC. God-awful. Stanford, god-awful. Georgia Tech showed some fight against Georgia, but then ultimately lost in their bowl game, I think, to whoever they played. Vanderbilt. Navy, I'll give them credit. They beat the crap out of Navy. Navy, solid team. I will say a solid team. Florida State, god-awful. Virginia, god-awful. Army,
they're a solid team. They were in the AAC championship game and won the AAC.
Congratulations, bro. It's not the same, bro. And you know what I'm getting at. USC's god-awful, and they gave up 40. I'm just looking at this, dude. Like, yes, they're the hottest team, but if you're a team that expects to be in the playoff, how in that world do you not go 12-0 with the schedule? Like, I don't know, man. That's just me, and I get it. Tennessee's lost to Arkansas. Alabama's lost to their teams and whatnot, but Notre Dame, I think, is still, to me, the most fraudulent top 5 team in the nation with what they've gone through. But with that being said, every team has looked pretty bad at times. So, but I don't like you using the term hottest because, I mean, like, dude, how could they not? But to your point,
I said, they have dominated every single team that they have played, except for Louisville. That was a close game, a touchdown game, but they've dominated everybody else, as they should. And I think that Marcus Freeman, they're going to keep him around, but is he not almost coaching for his job because he hasn't won that big game? He hasn't stepped up and done it yet, kind of like Ryan Day, kind of like James Franklin. This is the game to show that if he wins,
you got it too, didn't you?
Yep, I also got that Amber
alert. If we can help anybody out, just look for a Ford Explorer of some sorts with the license plate tag number. I'm joking. I'm not joking.
Yeah, but I think that Marcus Freeman is in a way kind of coaching for his job, coaching to prove something that he can win a game of magnitude. So that's why I'm taking Notre Dame in this one. Now, I think that the winner of this game goes on to play either Oregon or Ohio State in the title game.
Yeah. All right. Right on.
Last game.
I was about to say, is that all of them? Because you said nightcaps. I didn't know. Yeah, I read that, Justin. It is in Knoxville. That's what I was reading. It's a silver, it's a golden something export, whatever. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyways.
Last game that we have, this is on January the 2nd. This is Thursday. It is Duke going up against Ole Miss, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Ole Miss, a 17.5-point favorite in the game. This is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Don't forget, Duke has that Murphy kid who transferred from Texas, solid quarterback. I think the spread's a little much, but give me Ole Miss here. But I do think that spread's a little much. I think Duke can keep it a little closer than that. But it just depends on if we get Ole Miss versus Georgia or if we get Ole Miss versus Kentucky. We'll see. But I still like the talent difference for this roster for Ole Miss. So give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, give me Ole Miss as well. I agree with you. I think that Duke keeps it within that 17.5 there. I also don't know who all is playing for Ole Miss and who all is transferring out. I do think that Jackson Dart will be playing in this game just because he's been noted. He's all Ole Miss, man. And in a way, is he not kind of like Brady Cook as far as Jackson Dart is not going to go and be a day one starter for an NFL team. He'll probably be on the practice squad somewhere. So why not go out and play one more college game? I think that he is in a better situation than Brady Cook. He's a better quarterback, but he's not going to go and make an NFL roster and be a first or second string guy. So why not go and play in this game?
Yeah. Would you agree that it just doesn't feel like that there's a strong quarterback class this year?
It's not. I mean, the top quarterback in the class is going to be Cam Ward, and he reminds me a lot of Cam Newton with a little bit of Vince Young as far as like the arm angle. And, Cam Newton had the one MVP year in the NFL, but other than that, was Cam Newton really all that good? Not
they had the 17-0 or whatever season with the Panthers, and then just kind of fell off after that. Or Christian McCaffrey kind of realized that he's the one that carried it more than Cam Newton did. But whatever. Anyways, no, I like it. Upset pick of the week time.
Yep. Upset pick of the week standings. As Skylar alluded to earlier, I had a 3-1 week last week, picking Navy, Vandy, and Arkansas to win. Both of us picked A&M to win, and that one kind of fell flat.
Yes,
but Skylar went 0 for 4 last week.
This is my worst week ever, actually.
Yeah. So open up just a little bit of a gap, but there is a chance this week for him to close the gap or for me to spread out that gap a little bit more. But upset pick of the week, Skylar.
Yes. We'll take, drum roll, please, Illinois over South Carolina.
Illinois over South Carolina. I like that pick. Like I said earlier, I like Brent Bielema. I like that squad there for Illinois. They're going up against a hot South Carolina team as well. They came down the stretch really hot, made a run for the playoffs. So that's going to be a good game. That's a good pick.
Michael is really proud, Justin, but what he doesn't know is in the fine print, if he wins, he has to come to Knoxville for me to cover that golf trip. So it's fine. I still win in the end.
That's great. Fine. I got a Buddy's barbecue gift card I still need to use. So.
Come on up, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So I picked them straight up earlier in a pick segment. I am going to take Boise State over Penn State.
I respect that you're doubling down on that. Yeah, so, I respect that. So
I really like this Boise State team. I like Ashton Genty. They've got a fantastic offensive line. I guess the question would be, if Penn State does shut down that run game, can they throw the ball enough to be able to beat Penn State? I think that they'll be able to.
Right on. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Vol Fanatics show this week. Kind of a slow week, but the men do play on New Year's Eve and the women's play on the 2nd. So be on the lookout for those games. We will be back here locked and loaded, ready for another show. I believe it's going to be January 3rd. When's our next show? January 3rd or 4th?
January the 5th, actually.
5th. Sorry, my weeks are so whacked. It's like that in-between stage between Christmas and New Year's where you don't really know what day it is. Yeah. But no, we'll be back locked, loaded, ready to go, talking a lot more basketball as we, at that point, would have opened up SEC. Yes. Yep, we would open up SEC play. So, but we look to have y'all tuned in as always. And Michael, you got anything to end it out?
The only thing I want to ask the folks is, do you guys want to see us have, even if it's a short, 10, 15-minute segment, do you want to see us have a football segment each week just to kind of keep updated on that? Personally, myself, I think I would like to do that. I think our ratings go up a little bit when we still talk football in the offseason, even if it's just a quick update type thing. So let us know, send us a message, whatever. Do you guys still want a little bit of football content throughout this offseason? Other than that, everyone have a happy new year. Have a safe new year as well. And be ready to join us again next Sunday, right on schedule.
Where Go Vols, everybody. We'll be in first place, and it'll be a good, happy new year. No, I'm joking. Y'all have a good one. Go Vols. Yeah.